Are you preparing for the CompTIA A Core 2 certification and want to make sure you pass on your first try? You are in the right place. In this video, we will go through exam-style practice questions with clear explanations that will help you understand the concepts behind every answer, not just memorizing them. So, whether you are brushing up for the exam day or testing your knowledge, stay tuned till the end. Grab your notes, stay focused, and let's dive right into the question number 1. Question number 1. One of your clients has just issued some laptops to some of their employees. Your job is to ensure that data is secure if one of these devices is lost or stolen. Which of the following would best allow you to achieve this? And the options are option A, remote wipe, option B, BitLocker, option C, Windows password, and option D, anti-malware. And the correct option is, I will reveal the option after the countdown. And the correct option is the BitLocker. So the BitLocker is a built-in Windows feature which lets you encrypt the whole drive or a volume. So remote wipe is also an option, but it is still risky because before remote wiping your device, the data may already have been compromised. And another thing is that in order to remotely wipe your device, you need the connectivity or network connectivity to that device. So the best option is BitLocker. These are also not suitable option for confidentiality and security of data when the device is lost or stolen. So explanation is that the BitLocker provides full disk encryption, ensuring that if a laptop is lost or stolen, the data on its drive cannot be accessed without the proper decryption. The incorrect option, including the remote wipe, is useful for mobile devices but requires the device to be connected to the network. Similarly, Windows password protects user access, but data can still be accessed if the drive here means the hard drive is removed or stolen. Anti-malware basically protects against malicious software but not physical data theft. So therefore, BitLocker is the best option for securing data on lost or stolen laptops as well as other mobile devices such as mobile and question number 2, which of the following tools will allow you to find out how much memory an application is using? So memory here we are talking about RAM. How do we know that how much RAM is being used by an application? And the options are option A, msconfig, option B, system information, option C, task manager, and option D, check disk. And the correct option is, think about the correct option, and it is option C, task manager. So using the Windows task manager, you can see that how much RAM as well as other resources such as CPU, disk, and network bandwidth is being used by each application. So the task manager in Windows display real-time information about running applications system resources. So the resources include CPU, memory, disk, and network usage. The incorrect options are msconfig is used to configure startup programs and boot options. So this option is used to control which application and program should start when you start or boot up your operating system. System information displays the hardware and system details but not live memory usage. And chess disk is used to check the file system and the disk for errors which is unrelated to the memory monitoring. Question number 3, a user cannot access company resources on their new workstation that they could access on their prior workstation. Which of the following actions should a technician take to fix the issue? And the options are option A, provide the user with the administrator account. Option B, disable the firewall on the workstation. Option C, join the workstation to the company's domain. And option D, enable facial recognition on the workstation. So the issue here is that a user cannot access or cannot log into a new device while at the same account was able to log into their prior workstation. So what could be the issue? And the correct option is, so here we are talking about that issue is not with the account but with the workstation. Since the new workstation has not joined the company's domain, it means that the account are basically domain account. So the domain account or the domain user are basically can be used when the device that you want to log in has joined the domain. So each time there is a new device, you first need to make that device join the domain, and then you can use the domain user and domain account to log in to the system using that device. Explanation is, so if a user cannot access company resources like shared drives, printers, or internal applications that they previously could, it's likely because the new workstation is not part of the company's Active Directory domain. Joining the workstation to the domain ensures the user's credential and permissions are recognized across the network, restoring access to those resources. Incorrect option A is incorrect because providing an admin account violates the security policy. So, for day-to-day tasks and for ordinary user, we do not use the admin account. Admin account is rarely used for specific tasks that require elevated privileges such as admin account. Option B is also incorrect. So disabling the firewall won't fix authentication or domain access issues. And option D is irrelevant. Facial recognition does not affect resource access. Question number 4. An IT support specialist is preparing to migrate a critical application. This migration will impact the operations during the maintenance window. Which of the following would help the specialist determine the potential impact to the business as part of the change management process? The options are option A, end user acceptance, option B, risk assessment, option C, manager approval, and option D, peer review. And the correct option is risk assessment. So using the risk assessment methodology, we can determine the potential impact to the business of any change inside business processes, such as in this case migrating a critical application. So explanation is, a risk assessment helps identify and evaluate potential impact of a change such as downtime, data loss, or service disruption on business operations. It's a key part of the change management process to ensure that all risks are understood and mitigated before proceeding with the migration. The incorrect option, option A, end user acceptance, happens after implementation. Manager approval is required but does not analyze impact, and peer review checks technical accuracy, not business impact. Question number 5. Which of the following is a type of malware designed to record a user's credential and other entries? And the options are option A, Keylogger, option B, Trojan, option C, ransomware, and option D, rootkit. And the correct option is option A, keylogger. So we are talking about recording a user's credential and other entries. So as the name indicates, keylogger means that it logs the key strokes. So keylogger basically logs each keystroke that is pressed on the keyboard. So this type of malware is designed to record and log the user credential as well as other information, for example, credit card number and other data. Explanation is, so a keylogger is a type of malware that secretly records a user's keystrokes, capturing sensitive information such as username, password, and credit card numbers. Incorrect option, option B, Trojan disguises itself as legitimate software but can deliver other malware. And ransomware encrypts files and demands payment for decryption. It does not record keystrokes. While option D, rootkit hides malicious activity and provides attacker persistent access but does not record keystrokes, which is done by the keylogger. Question number 6. A team member provides a link to an online slide deck presentation so other team members can add to the presentation. The link does not work for any of other team members. Which of the following should the team check first? The options are option A, version history, option B, web browser compatibility, option C, viewing and sharing permission, and option D, license management. And the correct option is option C, viewing and sharing permission. It means that the other users currently do not have the viewing and sharing permission. So if team members cannot access a shared presentation link, the most common cause is incorrect sharing or permission setting. The file owner must ensure the document is shared with the correct user or that link access is set to anyone with the link or the appropriate group. Incorrect option, option A, version history only tracks changes, not access. Option B, web browser compatibility is rarely the issue for cloud slides. And option D, license management affects software access, not specific file permission. Question number 7. A user is purposely deleting files and folders containing company information. Which of the following describes this attack? And the options are option A, whaling, option B, on-path attack. So the on-path attack was previously known as man-in-the-middle attack or MITM, option C, insider threat, and option D, spoofing. And the correct option is we are talking about a user inside the company that is purposely deleting files and folder, and this type of user is known as the attack carried out by such user is known as insider threat because user has the access to the company files and folders and is inside the company. So the explanation is that an insider threat occurs when someone within the organization, such as an employee, contractor, or partner, intentionally misuse their access to harm the company. In this case, the user deleting company data on purpose is a clear example of an insider threat. The incorrect option, option A, whaling targets executives with phishing attacks. And B, on-path attack, that is man-in-the-middle attack, basically intercepts communication on the network. Option D, spoofing involves pretending to be someone or something else to gain access. So any user that has access to a company resources and maliciously deletes or corrupts these resources is known as insider threat. Question number 8. A technician is reviewing malicious activity on a machine. The timestamp information shows this activity takes place overnight. Which of the following should the technician prevent further offenses? And the options are option A, disable the guest accounts. Option B, restrict login times. Option C, apply an account expiration date. And option D, enable screensaver locks. And the correct option is, so we are talking about an activity that takes place overnight when the actual users are not using the system. So this type of activity can be avoided by restricting login times to the office work hours. Let's suppose if the office hours are from 9 to 5, so the login time can be restricted to this time frame so that any user that maliciously want to do the malicious activity outside these hours is not able to log in. Explanation is, if a malicious activity is occurring overnight, restricting login times ensures that user accounts can only be used during approved working hours. This helps prevent unauthorized or automated access outside of normal business operations. Incorrect options. Option A, disable guest accounts is good security practice but does not address the timing issue. Option C, apply an account expiration date is for temporary users, not ongoing time-based control. And option D, enable screensaver locks protects active sessions, not after our logins. Question number 9. Which of the following best describes what happens when an operating system reaches EOL dead? EOL is end of life dead, such as we can say that Windows XP and I think even Windows 7, they are EOL because they have reached their end of life and are no longer supported by Microsoft. And the options are option A, users are unable to log in. Option B, users cannot purchase the OS. Option C, security updates are not released. And option D, drivers must be installed. And the correct option is, so the critical thing that happens after EOL, that's the security updates are no longer released. These other may also be true since operating system is no longer provided by the vendor. Let's suppose user may also not be able to purchase this Windows, but the critical and most important thing is that security updates are no longer provided from the vendor. So such operating system is then a security risk. So explanation is, when an operating system reaches its end of life date, the vendor stops providing security patches, bug fixes, and updates. This leaves the system vulnerable to new threats and exploits. The incorrect options is that user can still log on to these operating system if they are in use. Option B, purchasing may already have ended before EOL. And option D, new drivers are not required due to end of life status of the operating system. Question number 10. A technician is replacing a laptop's motherboard that is covered by a warranty. The technician must return the faulty motherboard to the manufacturer as part of the warranty agreement. Which of the following should the technician do after removing the old motherboard and installing the new one? And the options are option A, connect an ESD wrist strap to a grounded connection point. Option B, remove the battery and AC adapter from the laptop. Option C, use compressed air to clean out any loose debris or dirt from inside the laptop. And option D, place the old component in an anti-static bag for shipping. And the correct option is option D, place the old component in an anti-static bag for shipping. And the explanation is, so when returning a faulty motherboard under warranty, technician must package it properly in an anti-static bag to prevent electrostatic discharge damage during shipping. This ensures the manufacturer receives it in acceptable condition. The incorrect option, option A, ESD straps are used during handling, not after replacement. Option B, removing the battery is a safety step before disassembly, not after installation. And option C, cleaning is good maintenance but not required for warranty return. Question number 11. An IT help desk project that was to be completed in days after work hours for another department is now 2 days overdue. The department leader is upset and wants to know when the project will be completed. Which of the following is the best approach in this scenario? And the options are option A, escalate the management team without talking to the department leader. Option B, ask for an extension to the deadline. Option C, apologize for the delay and offer a viable solution. And option D, request the department leader provide the request in writing. And the correct option is option C, apologize for the delay and offer a viable solution. And the explanation is, so the best approach is to communicate professionally and take responsibility by apologizing for the delay, then providing a realistic plan or timeline to complete the project. This maintains trust and demonstrates accountability. The incorrect options are option A, escalating immediately may worsen communication. Option B, asking for an extension without explanation shows poor planning. And option D, requesting written communication ignores the immediate concern. Question number 12. An employee is receiving emails and calls from people in their contact list about phishing emails from the employee. The employee recently installed a third party email client with access to the device's contacts. Which of the following should the employee do to resolve the issue immediately? And the options are option A, check the employee's outgoing mailbox. Option B, uninstall the unapproved application. Option C, delete the contact list from the device. And option D, add the messages to junk mail. And the correct option is option B, uninstall the approved application. And the explanation is, so since the issue started right after installing a third-party email client that had access to contacts, the application is likely compromised or malicious and is sending phishing emails to those contacts. The immediate action is to uninstall the unapproved application to stop further data misuse. The incorrect options are option A, checking the outgoing mailbox won't stop the activity. Option C, deleting contacts removes data but not the source of the problem. And option D, marking messages as junk does not address the compromised application. Question number 13. A Linux user attempts to modify a system configuration file located /etc slash directory using a text editor but receives a permission error. The user does not want to switch to the root account but instead wants to make the change using their own user credentials temporarily with root privileges. Which of the following commands would allow the user to achieve this? So the user is trying to edit something and is receiving the permission error. So this issue can be resolved by either using the root account, but the user does not want to use the root account since it is risky. User wants to use the same user but with temporary root privileges. So how to achieve this? Options are option A, SU, or this stands for switch user dash C nano, where nano is the text editor slash etc slash config.conf. Option B, sudo nano slash etc slash config.conf. Option C, sudo dash I nano slash etc slash config.conf. And option D, su root dash C nano slash etc slash config.conf. And the correct option is option B, sudo nano slash etc slash config.conf. So sudo is the command to use so that your user get temporarily the root privileges. Nano is the text editor that is used inside Linux, and this is the file that the user want to edit. So the explanation is the sudo command allows a regular user to execute a single command with temporary root privileges provided they are authorized in sudoers file. Running sudo nano slash etc slash config.conf, open the configuration file in nano text editor with administrative privileges, perfect for one-time edits without switching to the root account. The incorrect option A, su-c nano slash etc slash config.conf runs the command as another user but usually requires the root password, not the user's. Option C, sudo dash I opens a root shell, not a single privileged command. And option D, su or switch user root dash C also requires the root password which the user wants to avoid using. Question number 14. A system administrator is unfamiliar with the options available for the change mode command on a Linux server. So this is a command inside Linux. The administrator wants to view the manual page that provides detailed information about the chmod command, including its options, usage, and examples. Which of the following commands should the administrator use? So the question is that let's suppose there is this specific command and you want to know the details about the command, that how to use it, what are some options that can be used with this command, and what are some examples that shows this command in action. So the options are option A, man chmod, option B, help chmod, option chmod dash help, and option D, info chmod. And the correct option is, so the purpose of all these commands is to show the detailed information about this command. So this can be replaced by any other command, and this man basically stands for manual. So this command basically displays the manual page of the command that follows. So the man or manual command displays the manual pages for the Linux commands, offering detailed documentation including syntax, options, descriptions, and examples. Running man chmod opens the official manual entry for the chmod command. Other options such as option B, help chmod, is used for shell built-in commands like cd and echo, but chmod is an external command. Option C, chmod dash help gives a brief summary of options, not the full manual. And option D, info chmod provides detailed info in a different format, but man or manual chmod is the standard and most direct way to view the manual of any command inside Linux. Question number 15. During troubleshooting of a user's PC, you notice that it is being used by the user to do cryptocurrency mining. You decide that this violates your company's guidelines. Which of the following should you update to reflect this? The options are option A, EULA, that is End User License Agreement. Option B, AUP, that is Acceptable Use Policy. Option C, Conditional Access Policies. And option D, MDM, that is Mobile Device Management. And the correct option is, so you, I think, already have guessed the correct option, and it is option B, Acceptable Use Policy. So the acceptable use policy, that is AUP, defines what users are allowed and not allowed to do with company systems and resources such as devices and laptops. If cryptocurrency mining is not permitted, the AUP should be updated to explicitly prohibit such activity. Other options such as EULA, End User License Agreement, governs software use, not company policy. Conditional access policies control access to network resources based on conditions such as location, device compliance, etc. And MDM, that is Mobile Device Management, manages and secures mobile devices, not user behavior policies. So therefore, the correct policy to update is the AUP, that is Acceptable Use Policy. Question number 16, you need to implement secure physical access to your data center. Which of the following would allow you to achieve that? The options are option A, motion sensors, option B, alarms, option C, geofence, and option page reader. So we are talking about secure physical access inside the physical facility or building that houses your data center. And the correct option is badge reader. So all those employees or users that have the badge can securely access the facility, and the user without the required badge would be able to enter the facility. And the explanation is, so a badge reader controls physical access by requiring authorized personnel to scan an ID badge before entering the secure areas like a data center. This ensures only approved individuals can enter. The incorrect options, such as motion sensors, detect movement but do not restrict access. Alarms notify of unauthorized entry but do not control access. And geofence uses GPS for virtual boundaries suitable for mobile devices, not physical doors. So therefore, a badge reader is the best option for secure physical control. Question number 17. When working in a data center, which of the following would be your most important concern as an IT person? And the options are option A, disposing of toner, option B, EST mats, option C, humidity levels, and option D, network cable length. And the correct option is, we are talking about the physical server room or the facility that houses the machine. So the most important concern at that facility is the humidity level, because the humidity level are critical for IT equipment such as servers and network devices such as firewall and routers. So in a data center, maintaining proper humidity levels is crucial because low humidity can lead to electrostatic discharge, damaging sensitive components. High humidity can cause condensation and erosion on equipment. Disposing of, these are the incorrect options. Disposing of toner is important for safety but not a critical data center concern. ESD mats are helpful for individual workstations, but humidity control affects the entire environment. And network cable length matters for performance, but not as critical as environmental control. So hence, humidity levels are the most important concern for IT staff in a data center. Question number 18. One of your clients have called you to come set up a brand new Wi-Fi router for them. Which of the following is the first thing you should do? And the options are option A, change the SSID, option B, change the default password, option C, change the DHCP setting, and option D, change the default IP address. And the correct option is, so you can do all these things with the brand new Wi-Fi router, but the most critical thing is to change the default password, because anyone having the info of the default password can access the device and change other settings or even get access to your secure network. So you can also change the SSID, but it is not necessary. Similarly, changing the IP addresses or DHCP, they can also be done or left as they are, but changing the default password is most important thing. So when setting up a new Wi-Fi router, the first step should always be to change the default administrator password. This prevents unauthorized users from accessing the router setting using widely known default credentials. So the default credentials of all vendors are almost available over the web. For example, if you have an access point of, let's suppose, Cisco, and you go on the Cisco website or on the web and search for the default Cisco AP credential, you will easily get there. The incorrect options: change the SSID improves identification but does not improve security. Similarly, changing the DHCP settings are optional and usually done later. And similarly, changing the default IP address can reduce conflicts with other devices and network, but it is not a primary security step. So therefore, changing the default password first ensures the router's configuration remains secure during and after setup. Question number 19. One of your clients reports that one of the computers in their environment performs sluggishly. They mentioned some users have reported the issue while others who use the same machine experienced nothing. Which of the following should you try? And the options are option A, defragment the hard drive, option B, run the checklist command, option C, add more system memory, and option D, increase paging file size. And the correct option is, we are talking about a sluggish performing computer, and the correct option is option C, add more system memory. And the explanation is, so if a computer is slow for some users but not others, it often indicates that certain users are running more memory intensive application or processes. Insufficient RAM can cause sluggish performance when system memory runs out and the computer starts using the paging file or virtual memory, which is much slower. The incorrect options are: defragment the hard drive helps mainly with mechanical hard disk drives but won't fix memory shortages. Test command basically detects disk errors, not performance issues related to RAM and memory. And increasing the paging file size offers minor improvement but not a substitute for adding RAM. So adding more system memory is the most effective way to improve overall and user specific performance. Question number 20. A technician has just learned about an exploit which has been identified on the company web server. There is no patch yet for the exploit. Which of the following has most likely occurred? So we have an exploit, but there is no patch available from the vendor. This type of exploit or this type of attack is known as, options are option A 0-day, option B brute force, option C DOS or denial of service, and option D spoofing. And the correct option is, I hope you have already guessed the correct option, and it is option A 0-day. As the name indicates, this exploit is discovered on the day 1 or the 0-day before even the knowledge of the exploit, about the exploit to the vendor, and therefore there is no page yet released by the vendor. So this type of exploit is very critical because there is no page available and the malicious actor can exploit the vulnerability easily, since it cannot be you can say patched or mitigated, since there is no patch available for that. So what we can do in this scenario, that we can either isolate the system from the network, or we can, you can say, control access to the system, to the compromised system, through other mechanisms such as firewall and other controls. So a zero-day exploits refer to a newly discovered vulnerability that attackers can exploit before the vendor releases a patch or fix. Because no updates exist yet, it poses a high security risk. The incorrect option, brute force, involves repeatedly guessing passwords. DOS or denial of service overloads a system to make it unavailable. And spoofing imitates another system or user to gain unauthorized access. So since there is no patch yet for the discovered exploit, it is clearly a zero-day vulnerability. Question number 21. One of your technicians would like to make use of an answer file during an installation. Which of the following installation types would require the use of an answer file? And the options are option A, clean, option B, upgrade, option C, repair, and option D, unattended. And the correct option is option D, unattended. And the explanation is, so an unattended installation uses an answer file to automatically provide responses to setup prompts like license, time zone, and user details, allowing the operating system to install without manual intervention. The incorrect option, such as clean, is manual installation with user input. Upgrade type basically updates an existing operating system, and it is also typically interactive. Interactive means that the user inserts inputs, and the repair type basically fixes an existing installation, and in this type of installation no answer file is used. So therefore unattended installation are specifically rely on answer files to automate the setup or installation process. Question number 22. The company of one of your clients has an open wireless network. Clients and vendors need to be able to connect to the network without logging in. Your client is concerned that nearby business is using their wireless network without permission. Which of the following will allow your client to address this issue without asking their clients or vendors to log in? Choose one option. And the options are option A, changing the SSID, option B, MAC filtering, option C, power levels, option D, content filtering, option E, firewall. And the correct option is, we are talking about that the client and vendor should be able to use the network without logging in, but the neighbors should not be able to use the Wi-Fi network. And we can do this with the power level. If we decrease the power level, it means wireless network would not be available to the nearby neighbors, but will be available inside the vendor or organization company owned facility. So by reducing the wireless access points power level, your client can limit the Wi-Fi signal range so it does not extend beyond their premises. This helps prevent nearby businesses from connecting while still keeping network open and accessible to clients and vendors without requiring a login. Other incorrect options such as changing the SSID only changes the network name but does not stop outsiders. MAC filtering would require managing allowed devices, which is inconvenient for guests. Content filtering controls website access, not who connects. Firewall basically protects traffic, not wireless access. And changing the Wi-Fi password would require users to log in, which the client does not want. So therefore, adjusting the Wi-Fi power level is best solution. Question number 23. The company of one of your clients does not allow USB drives to be available in workstations. An exception, however, needs to be made for one user. You change the policy for the one user. Which of the following commands should you run next? And the options are option A, check disk, option B, update, option C, disk part, and option D, IP config. And the correct option is option B, GP update or group policy update. So what does this command do? After modifying a group policy setting, such as allowing USB drives for a specific user, you must run the update command to force the system to apply the new policy immediately. Just check this command basically checks for disk errors and is not related to this specific scenario. Disk part is used to manage disk partition, and ipconfig basically displays or renew network configuration information such as IP addresses, subnet mask, and gateway. So therefore, running GP update or group policy update ensures the updated policy takes effect without waiting for the next automatic refresh cycle. Question number 24. Which of the following would be an example of MFA or multi-factor authentication? And the options are option A, smart card plus PIN, option B, password plus PIN, option C, username plus password, and option D, fingerprint scan and facial recognition scan. So remember, the MFA basically multi-factor authentication is where we have two or more than two factors. So the two factors types. So the key point is factor types. So here the password and PIN they are basically the same factor. So effectively we have one factor. This type of factor is known as something the user knows. Then we have the biometric, which is something the user is, which is his physiological characteristic. And third one is something the user is, have or possess, such as the smart card. So if we look at the options, this is one factor, this is second. So here we have 1 plus 1, two factor authentication or multi-factor. These are same, these are also same. And both of these also belong to the same type. Therefore, these are one factor. So the correct option is then option A. Since smart card plus PIN are two-factor, and therefore this is true multi-factor authentication. So explanation is multi-factor authentication requires using two or more different authentication factors from separate categories. So there are, you can say, as I already said, basically three categories or three type of factors. Something you know, such as PIN as password, something you have, for example, smart card or token, and something you have, such as fingerprint, facial recognition. So smart card plus PIN combines something you have, which is smart card, plus something you know, which is password. So that's why this is two-factor or multi-factor authentication. Password plus PIN both are something you know. Therefore, this is, you can say, one category. Username plus password, only one factor, which is something you know, which is this password, and fingerprint plus facial recognition, again, both are something you are, which is again one category. So therefore, smart card plus PIN is the valid example of multi-factor authentication. Question number 25, you need to change the processor in a desktop PC of one of your clients. Before you open the PC, which of the following procedures should you perform first? Choose all that apply. The options are option A, unplug the computer from its power source. Option B, remove dust from the ventilation fans. Option C, putting on an ESD strap, electrostatic discharge strap. Option D, putting the PSU in an anti-static bag. PSU is power supply unit. And option E, ensuring proper ventilation. And the correct option is option A and option C. So we have two correct options. First correct option is option A, unplug the computer from its power, and option C, putting an ESD strap. And the explanation is, so before opening a desktop PC and working on internal components like the CPU, you must do the following. Option A, unplug the computer from its power source, which prevents electric shock and hardware damage. And option C, put an ESD, that is electrostatic discharge strap, which protects sensitive components from static electricity. So other options which are incorrect, such as option B, remove dust. So it is a good maintenance step but not required before opening the case. Option D, put PSU in an anti-static bag, is not applicable since the PSU stays start. PSU is power supply unit where you plug the power cable. And option E, ensure proper ventilation. It is important during the operation but not before opening. So therefore, the first procedure should be unplugging the and wearing an ESD strap. So that's all for this video. This is part 1. I will be uploading part 2 with more questions to come. So please like the video, share it, and subscribe for the upcoming